Hello there, ladies and gents. Today we are doing the 6+1 writing trait of conventions. Conventions will be your guide. Conventions, the convention's purpose is to guide the reader through the text and make your ideas readable. Conventions allow the writer to edit the text and prepare it for the reader in a uniform way. So conventions give the reader what they would expect to see based on spelling, punctuation, grammar, usage, and paragraphing. It's a standard uniform format that helps readers know what to expect and how to read what you've written. Good conventions are unnoticed by the reader because they are just that, correct. Tips to developing conventions. Wait. Sometimes, many times I would actually say, it helps to hold off editing until a day or two after you've written something. That allows you to take a fresh look at it. Many times people don't allow this time to edit, and so they can't take a fresh, unbiased look at it. So allow yourself plenty of time for editing. Don't wait till the last minute to throw something together thinking you can do a good job, and then come down to editing and it's due and you turn it in and you don't edit, or you rush your editing and it shows. You should ask yourself, why? Why? Well, ask yourself questions like, why did I put this comma here? And if you can't answer why you put that comma there, then maybe it doesn't belong. Or if you write a particularly long sentence, let's say, you could ask yourself, does more punctuation belong here? Or does something else belong here? Edit for different things each time. Don't try to edit for everything at once. I will tell you often that if you give me something to be proofread, I only proof for one or two things. Content could be one thing. Flow, you could pick a trait or two to look at, maybe word choice. But don't try to look at them all at one time because you will miss them. Pick one or two things you're looking for and do a sweep through just for those, which requires you to go back and do more and more edits. However, it's the correct way to do that. Tips for better spelling editing. Read backwards. This is one of my favorites because if you read forward and you already know what is supposed to be said, a lot of times your mind will go ahead and fill in the correct form when it's not really correct. That's an example of maybe, say, when someone types you instead of your and you're reading it through, you just fill in the correct form before you realize that it's incorrect. So if you read backwards, you kind of see that when it's not correct. So you start from the end, you say, before end filled, just mentally have would you mistake see you and flow the breaks it backwards read. Pay attention to homophones, which are words that pronounce the same, sound alike, but are spelled differently or have differences. So the example I gave was it's and its. You know, your and yours, there, and there. All those are homophones. Message, massage, things like that. Don't rely too much on your trusty computer, because computers will make mistakes. Computers do not have a mind of their own, contrary to popular belief. They only do what they're told. And so if they see T-O, two is the correct word, but you wanted T-W-O, it's not going to know that T-W-O is what should have been there. So you should not rely on your computer too much. You should always do a good sleep through of your own for spelling. And practice, practice, practice. That's the way to get good at spelling, is to continue to practice and recognize patterns. And if there's a word or words that cause you problems, figure out ways to focus on those words. For instance, library or February. I know a lot of people who pronounce February, February. Or Wednesday, people pronounce Wednesday, Wednesday, so they can remember how to spell it. Tips for better punctuation editing. Dialogue punctuation tends to be the area most students struggle with, in my opinion. So you should focus heavily on correct dialogue punctuation. And later this school year, at some point, I will make a video and require you to watch a video on dialogue punctuation. But you should really learn dialogue punctuation because you want dialogue in a lot of what you write, particularly your narrative, your personal narrative, and your short stories, things like that. As we mentioned before, you should ask why. Constantly ask why you're doing something. And if you can answer it, or making a good attempt to answer it, it could be correct. If you can't make a certain good answer, could be incorrect. Certain punctuation determines inflection, tone, and volume. So you should read aloud and get a feel for where certain punctuation should be. A lot of times, commas and semicolons can indicate a pause. Exclamation points can mean excitement. So, paying attention to what punctuation determines your inflection, tone, and volume. And you should watch my parts of speech videos, which you will do later in the school year. But if you're confused about what kinds of parts of speech, get what types of punctuation, things like that, you should watch my parts of speech videos. There you have it, the 6+1 writing trait of conventions. I hope you enjoyed our time here today, and I will see you again soon.